What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update, and we're getting down to the wire here. We're going to have either one of two things happen for you to get your second stimulus check, and that is going to be an agreement between Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and the House and the Senate vote on it. But the Senate needs to come back. I'm going to tell you how that is going to work. There's a lot of confusion on that. Or we will see President Donald Trump pass the stimulus check with a presidential executive order, which is starting to look more and more likely. But first, if you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on second stimulus check and related news updates. My wife and I do all the research for you every single day so we can bring you all the information in a quick, concise video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up down below. It really helps out our channel. First up, a quick update from the president regarding how he's doing.
I want to begin by thanking all of the incredible medical professionals, the doctors, the nurses, everybody at Walter Reed Medical Center. I think it's the finest in the world for the incredible job they've been doing. I came here, wasn't feeling so well. I feel much better now. We're working hard to get me all the way back. I have to be back because we still have to make America great again. We've done an awfully good job of that. But we still have steps to go, and we have to finish that job. And I'll be back. I think I'll be back soon. And I look forward to finishing up the campaign the way it was started and the way we've been doing, the kind of numbers that we've been doing. We've been so proud of it. But this was something that happened, and it's happened to millions of people all over the world, and I'm fighting for them, not just in the U.S. I'm fighting for them all over the world. We're going to beat this coronavirus, or whatever you want to call it, and we're going to beat it soundly. So many things have happened. If you look at the therapeutics, which I'm taking right now, some of them, and others are coming out soon that are looking like, frankly, they're miracles.
So it looks like the president is doing pretty decent at this point. There's also been some skepticism that he's basically just trying to show, the best side of how he's doing. There has been several reports from several different news outlets that he was on oxygen at least once or twice, but who knows if it's just precautionary. Honestly, we just want to wish him well. I mean, I'm the type of person, I don't want to bad wish anybody. I just want, he's the president of the United States, whether you're a Republican or Democrat. Let's just hope he gets back to health because honestly, we may need him to pass a stimulus check through a presidential executive order. First, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how President Donald Trump is urging Congress right now to get the deal done, to get the stimulus package and the stimulus check and the unemployment extension, to get it done now. The president tweeted yesterday, "Our great USA wants and needs stimulus. Work together and get it done. Thank you." Now, obviously, the president had been working hand in hand with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, who is the main negotiator for the Republicans, the main one who is negotiating with Nancy Pelosi from the Democrats. And Steve Mnuchin had been seen with the president just a few days before he tested positive for the virus. And honestly, he should be quarantining with anybody around him. And both Nancy Pelosi had an in-person meeting just a few days ago. Honestly, they all need to be quarantining. Anybody who was at that Supreme Court justice rally at the White House, basically, with all the Republicans, that now several Republican senators have come down with the virus from that meeting. There's been dozens of people from that meeting. Let me show you it. This was the meeting at the White House over the Supreme Court justice, and dozens of people have come down with the virus from this meeting. You can see that 95% of them are not wearing masks and are literally right next to each other. They're surely not 6 feet away, and there's actually kids there in the front row also, and it's honestly just a sad story. So a couple things have happened since then, with several Republican senators having now caught the virus. Mitch McConnell says that the Senate is canceling their work until October 19th. October 19th. It was almost like 9, but 19th. but they're canceling their work, but yet they're still doing some work, what they deem necessary. As you can see, the Senate is still holding hearings on the Supreme Court justice hearing. So if they do that, they can hold hearings on the stimulus check, right? In all reality, the Senate really doesn't need to be there right now to vote on a stimulus check bill because we know that the stimulus check bill that was passed in the House, the HEROES Act 2.0, none of the Republicans agree with that. So, what really needs to happen if we don't go the presidential executive order route, which I have been saying for a while now, I think that is going to happen the closer we get to the election. And we're now down to less than 30 days before the election. So, I think that's a very, very high possibility that we will get the stimulus check through the presidential executive order. However, you at home really want to hope that the stimulus package, the agreement passes, because there's a lot more money in there for the average everyday American people through the stimulus package. There's the stimulus check, which the presidential executive order could do also, but there's also unemployment in there at anywhere between $400 to $600 per week for everybody that has lost their job during this pandemic. Now, that may not affect you directly, but it probably affects somebody you know if it doesn't affect you directly. And it still affects about 26 million Americans that have lost their jobs from this pandemic. There's also PPP money in there for small business owners, of which 1 out of 6 small businesses have already gone out of business. So there's money for small business owners in there to pay the paychecks of their small business employees. So it helps people prevent from losing their job. It also will prevent the airlines from laying off tens of thousands of workers, of which Nancy Pelosi has told them to hold off until Monday as they're trying to get a deal passed before Monday. Nancy Pelosi literally said, airlines, don't lay off anybody. Give us until Monday to see if we can reach an agreement on a stimulus package. So that's how close Nancy Pelosi thinks we are. And there's other things in there. There's money for schools. There's rental assistance and mortgage assistance. So if you get a stimulus check, you also might get money for mortgage assistance and rental assistance if they can pass a stimulus package. So we really want them to pass a stimulus package. The presidential executive order would be great, but there's a lot more things in the package, and that would be a lot better for a lot of Americans. So, besides Donald Trump pushing for stimulus as he has been for weeks now, and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, because he's basically the speaker for President Donald Trump, he basically relays whatever Donald Trump's wishes are to Nancy Pelosi, is that we're getting closer to an agreement more now than ever. And Nancy Pelosi and both Mitch McConnell from the Senate have been more optimistic of getting a deal done within the next few days than we ever have seen. In fact, I don't know if I've seen Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell ever really optimistic that a deal was imminent ever before. So they could come to a deal to basically prevent the airline layoffs and to get us the stimulus checks and the unemployment extension here within the next 48 hours or so. And you might be saying, but Jimmy, the Senate is on recess. The Senate is not having hearings because, Mitch McConnell says that, 3 or 4 senators had the virus. So they're closing down until October 19th. Well, yes and no. Remember, they're still having hearings on the Supreme Court justice. So if they're doing that, they could surely have a vote, which literally, how long does it take to say yes or no? Really doesn't take that long. Again, if they're having hearings on the Supreme Court justice, they could do that also. Or they could do what the House of Representatives has done, and that is pass a bill to allow proxy voting or, not in person voting, so where they can vote on a Zoom call, or they can vote via having a representative vote for them in the Capitol. Basically, tough times call for tough measures. It's really not that hard for them to be able to say, okay, let's just vote remotely. I mean, the House already does it. So, if they pass a bill or if they get an agreement, then they pass the bill in the House. Most likely it'll start in the House. Then the Senate will either have to be called back and vote on it within 24 hours, or they'll have to vote on it remotely. I mean, I would, if I was a betting man, I would not bet any money on the scenario that they come to an agreement and the House passes it and the Senate doesn't vote on, if it's a bipartisan agreement that the Senate won't come back to vote on, they'll figure a way to vote on it, okay? They'll either vote remotely, or they'll vote remotely to be able to pass a bill to vote remotely, or they'll come back basically just to do a quick vote and everybody will social distance and wear masks, and or come in one at a time and vote. I mean, they'll come in and they'll vote if they have to. Trust me, if they have a bipartisan deal that has support from both Republicans and the Democrats through the agreement with Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, which is basically the White House, the Senate will find a way to vote. I wouldn't bet a dollar against that at all. You let me know if you would, because I wouldn't. And really, we've had Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell both saying that they think a deal is imminent. And you know what? If they don't reach a deal, if they don't reach an agreement, then the president steps in and passes it through presidential executive order. I was the first one to report that weeks ago. And that was even before the president said that he had $300 billion sitting there in a fund and he wanted to pass it through a presidential executive order if they couldn't do it with an agreement for Congress. Now, this was before that. And the reason why I had thought about this idea, because I was like, the president just passed these presidential executive orders for the unemployment money. He had the other ones with the payroll tax deferral and the, eviction moratorium and the student loan payment pausing. But the main one there that everybody was kind of shocked about was that he passed the presidential executive order to pay money to Americans for the unemployment boost. Okay, he basically said that Congress had already approved this money. It was sitting there in the disaster relief fund, and he's going to use that money through presidential executive order to use it for the unemployment, for disaster relief, the pandemic relief for people that have lost their jobs during this pandemic. It had already been approved by Congress. Well, guess what? This money that he then announced, like, I don't know, a couple weeks later after I had thought of that idea, it's like, he could probably do that again. He could probably do that again with the stimulus checks if they don't come to an agreement. Then lo and behold, a couple weeks later, he said, guess what, guys? I have a fund sitting there with $300 billion from the first stimulus package that hasn't been used yet. And guess what? Because it's already been approved by Congress from the first stimulus package, you don't really need Congress's approval again. It's already been approved. They don't need to approve it twice. The president signs a presidential executive order to basically just use it for something else relating to the pandemic. It's exactly what he did the first time around. He used the money from the disaster relief fund, which was approved for disaster relief, and he used it for pandemic disaster relief for the unemployment. He could do the exact same thing with the stimulus checks this time around. And those were his exact words, is that he wants to use that $300 billion for stimulus checks to be sent out directly to Americans. And he wanted Congress to approve it because that's the way it really should be done. Although the president signs presidential executive orders like every week, he's passed like over 100 of them. In fact, here, I just looked it up for you. How many presidential executive orders has Trump passed? President Donald Trump has passed 188 presidential executive orders already. Obama 276, George W. Bush 291, Bill Clinton 253. Now, President Trump's only had one term here, but he's already passed 188 presidential executive orders. So trust me, guys, he's not afraid to do it. He's basically just seeing if Congress is going to pass it first. Okay, and now that Congress is starting to go on recess and we're basically down to the last few days and we're really close to the election, I mean, if you're a strategist, right, if you're trying to think about what the best strategy to get reelected would be. Now, let's just take we want to help Americans and put that aside. Let's just assume that they all want to help Americans and none of them have political agendas. But let's just push that aside, okay? And if you're just going by campaign strategy, what's the best strategy to get reelected if you're the president? Passing the stimulus checks just weeks before the election so it's fresh in everybody's minds would be an absolutely great strategy, wouldn't it? And guess what? Here we are, 30 days before the election. Congress hasn't come to an agreement yet. I mean, we're going to find out here within like the next 48 hours or so if they come to an agreement. I think Nancy Pelosi knows this. That's why she's actually been pushing really hard to come to an agreement here within the last 48 hours. But within the next couple days, we're going to find out if they're actually coming to an agreement or if they're still getting closer, or we're kind of getting to D-Day here with the agreement. I mean, of course they could go another week. I mean, we do have 30 days till the election. So they do still have some time, but it feels like we're coming down to the wire here in the next couple days. So if they don't come to an agreement, President Donald Trump passes the presidential executive order for the stimulus check less than 30 days before the election. Doesn't that sound like an absolutely great strategy if you want to win the election? And if the polls show that you're behind, whether you trust the polls or not, the polls show you're behind. So in your mind, you're thinking, I'm going to do everything I can to try to get ahead or try to win. I mean, whether or not you trust the polls, you see you're behind in the polls, you're kind of thinking, maybe I am behind. Maybe I need to do everything I can to pass this. And now we're within 30 days of the election. Now is the perfect time to pass the stimulus checks. You could have passed them, 60 days ago or 90 days ago, but then it wouldn't quite be fresh in the minds of everybody. And again, you were hoping that Congress would come to an agreement. So we're down to the wire here. We're going to find out, does Congress come to an agreement, or does the president pass it through a presidential executive order? Remember, he's already passed 188 presidential executive orders. So don't think that he won't pass another one to make it 189. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. We have new videos coming out at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click the bell icon next to the subscribe button and then click all notifications if you want to get notifications when we go live with new videos and new information. And don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. You can click on these videos to watch my newest stimulus check videos next. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.